Hi everyone, welcome back to a new episode of our podcast series. Today I have a very special day with a very good friend in the world of wine, Edouard Miailhe from Château Siran. And we are going to talk about a few things, the 2021 vintage, the Chateau in general, because the positive recognition that you got on the 2018 vintage, about the history, all sort of things. For the people that don't know a lot about Château Siran, what can you tell in general to the people?
Thank you, Yannick. Very happy to see you again and to have you in the winery today. Château Siran is a family-owned winery. It's the oldest family-owned winery of the Margaux appellation. It has been in our family since 1859, and I'm the sixth generation running it. It's a medium-sized property in the Margaux appellation. We have 25 hectares of vines, especially planted with Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Petit Verdot. Okay, those are the three typical type of grapes that you see in the Médoc. We are usually balanced between Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot, and we have this high percentage of Petit Verdot on the property that gives the spiciness that you have in our wines. Okay, we can sometimes reach 10-11% of Petit Verdot in the final blend of Château Siran. So that's part of the DNA of the winery. The fact of being balanced of Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot, and this quite high percentage of Petit Verdot. And that's interesting what you were saying before, is that we had the chance last year, so the end of 2021, to be recognized by an American magazine called Wine Enthusiast as their wine of the year for 2021. Okay, and that was on the 2018 vintage. 2018 is a gorgeous year all around Bordeaux, and that's something that's absolutely recognized. And interesting enough, the 2018 blend in Château Siran is the one that has the highest percentage of Petit Verdot in the history of Château Siran. One of the highest. We're just above 11% of Petit Verdot, which is quite high. And the wine is the complete expression of fruitiness, delicacy, typical of a Margaux blend. Which have this flowery fruitiness and softness at the same time of the wine. So that came out as a great surprise, because as you can imagine, you don't know anything before it happens. Wine Enthusiast tries 22,000 wines a year. Then they come out with a list of the top 100 of the year, and then they call you and you're number one. Wow, okay, so it's a wonderful surprise. It's a great thing for the staff, the people who have been doing all the job all those years in the winery. My winemaker, Marjolaine de France, who's the one doing all the vinification. Hubert de Bois, who's the consultant also of the winery. So it's really a teamwork, and it's a great result for all of us. But what I'm happy to share is not only a result for Château Siran, but it's also a result for Margaux.
For sure.
And it's also a result for Bordeaux.
Yeah, in general.
You see, in general, when a Margaux winery make it to the level number one of the podium, but it's a Margaux winery, but it's also a Bordeaux winery. Yeah. And it's nice to see that.
I was very happy, not to see Bordeaux, but also Château Siran, because it's an all-time favorite value for money. Every year I don't need to think about it. It's an easy buy. But finally, to see the recognition next to the other wineries from Margaux, to get the recognition, I was very happy for you and for the family and for the team at Siran. I was very happy. Yeah, well deserved for sure.
Thank you, Yannick. Yeah, that came out as a great surprise. The other news of the wineries that I'm happy to share is that So the 2019 vintage, the following year, we had this anniversary bottle that we made specially for that vintage, because that's the 160th vintage of the family in Siran. And so we did this special design bottle that really sold super well, because it's a unique black and gold and black bottle. It's engraved, and so this worked very well. Well, 2019 is again a nice vintage, so that helps also. And so this bottle was kind of commercial success because of this unique design. And so following that information, we said, you know, I don't know if you recall in the history of Château Siran, but when my parents were running Château Siran, they used to do those special labels every year. They did that during 26 vintages, from 1980 to 2005. And when they retired, you know, they didn't want to continue. I was taking over the winery. I didn't know really how to do this kind of thing. So we kind of paused it for all those years. And following the success of the 2019 vintage, we said, you know, we have this story of doing those labels. We have so many customers who are asking us, why did you stop? Yeah. So we decided, together with my wife, said, you know, okay, let's start again. And so starting on the 2020 vintage, we're going to have every year a new label designed by an artist on a special topic of the year, okay? Yeah. So the 2020 label will be released in June, when the wine is, you know, is starting to be sent in July to our negotiations. And we're going to release the design of the label, who is done by a French. It's done by a French Chilean artist called Federica Mata, and she kind of designed an allegory anti-COVID. 2020 is the year of the COVID. We don't want to, you know, we don't want to share any bad news with any labels, but we want to show the reality of life. So she created a kind of allegory anti-COVID, which is you know, celebration of wine and nature and life, sure. Which made a very joyful label. So this will be released in June, and we're very happy to start again this new.
For me, it's also very exciting. On my own Instagram, I prepared some questions to my followers to ask at the podcast. I think 90% of the questions were like, why did they stop with the art labels? And I was like, okay, I'm going to ask it for sure. But you already answered, so it's very nice to hear. And you were already talking to me before the podcast about it. For me, it was very nice to hear. I think it's very interesting, and it's fun to give another dimension to the wine cellar as well. Very nice collection you can maintain. So it's very nice. I think it's very interesting to do.
So 2021, well, 2020, you know, we've been talking about all those years about global warming. Yeah. Well, 2021 vintage, there was no global warming in France. Or maybe in the south, maybe in the complete south. But if you look at, you know, Champagne, Burgundy, Loire, Bordeaux, we kind
all went swimming.
We kind of look for global warming. There was no really global warming. It recalls us of weathers of 20 years ago, when, you know, we have this oceanic Atlantic weather, and the summer can be late to arrive, and it's exactly what we had. So the whole France has the smallest crop in years, yeah, because bad weather in April, or frost in April, rain in June, you know. So we have the whole France. Look at Burgundy, look at Champagne. Even Bordeaux is one of the smallest vintage in all those years. Mm-hmm. It will be a more classical, typical vintage. I'm talking about the Médoc, yes, because you have the Médoc will not be the same as the right bank, mm-hmm, which is Saint-Emilion and Pomerol. But on the Médoc side, and with the soils that we have, it's more Cabernet Sauvignon, Petit Verdot vintage, definitively. By the end of the harvest, finally we had nice weather. So what was picked by the end of the harvest is definitively reaching better maturity. So the late type of varietals will do better, which is the case of Petit Verdot and Cabernet Sauvignon. You remember the 2008 to 2011?
Yeah.
Those are not extremely powerful. They won't last for 20, 30, 40 years. They will be typical of the Medoc wines when we have this Atlantic Oceanic.
But those are the interesting wines to consume while waiting for the bigger vintage.
Exactly.
So they're not bad vintages.
No, we need once in a while this kind of vintage that allows us to drink it maybe earlier, and will not have the power and the complexity of an 18 or a 20, for example.
Yeah.
And so that's the style we'll have more on 2021 for the Medoc.
Mm-hmm. And for the people that don't know, so you have your main wine, Château Siran. You have other labels as well?
Yes, we have the second label, which is S de Siran. So that's for the Margaux appellation. We have a little bit of Haut-Médoc also. We have 2 hectares of Haut-Médoc that does the Bel Air de Siran. And we have 9 hectares of what we call Arrivée Bordeaux, which are the vines. They all come from the winery of Château Siran, but they're closer to the river. Mm-hmm. They are not on the Margaux appellation. It's called Saint-Jacques de Siran. Okay. And those are historical wines that we made on the property. And we have about, all in all, 220,000 bottles. Yeah. Margaux and the other appellation. So that's the annual production of Château Siran. So those labels, my Haut-Médoc is a small production, so it goes with 2 or 3 customers and to the visitors who come to the shop. We're open to wine tourism in Siran since 2015. It is something which is very important for us. We're very happy to welcome people. We have many different things to show. As you know, there is this bunker where we have all our old vintages. We have the terrace where we can have people for lunch on a special plateau with some cold cut cheese and salad and things like that. We have our collection cellar where we have all those art objects from the 3rd century before Christ until the 19th century. So we have many different things to show to the customers. And we're very happy to welcome people, but don't forget that because of COVID, this has changed tremendously for 2020 and 2021. And so we hope now that in 2022 things are going back to normal, and we'll start again, welcoming a lot of people in the winery. So the Haut-Médoc is, it's a small production, and it's mainly in the shop here. And our everyday Bordeaux, it's distributed all around the world with some importers. So it's US, places in Asia, and this is where we sell this wine. We like the fruitiness. It has to be easy to drink. Basically, you open the bottle, you finish the bottle. That's
what I like to hear.
That's the rule.
For sure, but that's doesn't need to be anything more, eh? Yeah. For sure. So you were talking about wine tourism. It is very important nowadays because a lot of people want to travel to Bordeaux and visit the wineries. So you talked about that you opened up for tourism a couple of years ago, 2015. Are there any other future plans at Siran that people can, read about in the future or can expect to improve the winemaking process or maybe to change something at the property?
So what we did last year, well, it's more an internal practical thing, but which is important for us. We used to have a big cellar, which is kind of far away from our tank room and vat room. So we moved this big cellar down to next to the vat room. So we have tank vats next to the aging cellar, which in terms of moving the wine, pumping the wine and everything, is something important. And I was dreaming of doing it since I took over the winery 13 years ago, or 13 years ago. And now it was completed last year. So very happy to have done it. It's very practical.
Nice.
And for the aging of the wine, well, it's all those little things that add to keeping the fruitiness, keeping the delicacy, and not, you know, moving the wine, and all those things that help before bottling.
For sure.
So that was done. That was done in 20 and 21. So very happy with it. And we continue, you know, to work on the vineyard. We have this high environmental value certification since 2018. We have a couple of plots which are organized in natural farming. So, you know, we do all those things. We're not certified yet.
Some years.
Yeah, and we're not sure that, you know, we want to go totally to a certification for the whole vineyard.
Yeah.
So high environmental value is the first step. But we've been very happy on the way the environment has been evolving. As the head of the appellation, of the Margaux appellation, we've been very active in the respect of biodiversity in our land and in our territory. You know, Margaux is 4 different villages. The area of vines is, I think, if I don't say any mistake, but just not far from 20% of the total environment of the land, of those 4 villages. And so it's important for us that we have a lively and rich nature all around the appellation. So we count the bees, we count the birds, we count the bats.
Yeah.
Okay, and so every 10 years we do an inventory of all those things. Okay, so we did it in 2015, so we'll do it in 2024, in 2 years now.
Okay.
We'll do a new one.
That's interesting.
And until now, all the figures that we got were very positive. Okay.
That's good.
So we have a very lively soil. We do, you know, we do everything we can to maintain livelihood all around the territory of the Margaux appellation.
Sounds great.
We're doing okay. It's not perfect. It can always be better, but at least we're checking on it and we're trying to do, you know. And it's a will of all the vintners, meaning it's not by law.
No, you do it because you want.
Because they want, exactly. It's all the vintners of the appellation want to go in that direction. So
That's great to hear, because I hear it from more and more wineries. So if everybody works together, that's great to hear.
Yeah.
Perfect. So what I also think is very important to share with the people is you're the 6th generation. But when were you at that moment that you knew, okay, I want to do what my father did or my parents did? I want to be the next generation into the wine world.
Okay, so my attachment to the winery, to the place, is something which is very clear in my mind, and all the people who know me, they consider that Siran is I have 4 kids, so kid number 5 is Siran. So, it's quite clear when you have, you know, when you're very attached to a place and to attach to the history of the place and to what you can do with this place, this land, this product, this everything. So that helps. Then, you know, just my parents retired. My mother was 65, and I was living in Asia at the time, you know, doing many other things except wine. Except wine. And then yeah, I took over because you know, it was something natural. Very happy to do it. It's a very challenging time because it's challenging time for Bordeaux. Competition in wine business from all over the world has never been as strong as it is now.
Sure. Every country delivers great wines.
Every country delivers incredible wines.
For sure.
So that makes it, you know, more difficult.
Do you want to talk about it? About other countries and their wines, not particularly next to Bordeaux, but for example. There are a few countries that work with imprimeur as well. Italy, Spain, Burgundy, but their imprimeur period is way shorter. Because
maybe they have less volume to put on the market. I don't know. I'm not very privy and extremely aware of the distribution.
I ask because there's a lot of people that I know personally, but also on the people where I do business with, and just in general, they start to ask, look, in the last 2 years, also due to COVID, I could not travel to Bordeaux, so I was exploring other wines and other countries, and they know there's a possibility to buy en primeur in Spain, Italy, you name it, and there's just the waiting time is just way shorter. And I told them, look, as Bordeaux, it's just tradition, it's how it's done there, and they're like, yeah, okay, I understand, but why now? You know, nowadays, if you want to buy en primeur, not all the wine merchants accept the fact that you just pay 50%. All of them ask all of the
money in advance.
And then you're like, okay, maybe I pay for 10,000 euros in wines and I don't see it for 2 years. Why not just like the other countries? I just pay, and then in 6 months, at least, I receive my wine.
Then you go back to the history, to the system, to the way of, you know, en primeur works because you can either get the price, the wine at a price, a fair price that you consider, okay, anyway, that's the lowest price I'm going to get, and it's the best way of reserving it, entering it.
And you have sure you have a bottle.
And the other reason is the supply, is
sure.
to make sure that you have the supply.
Yeah.
So it's an historical way. You see that more and more, as you shared, more and more chateaus are looking at this kind of distribution, especially, honestly, for brands which are very sought after. It's easy, for them, it's easy to, at least it's booked, it's reserved.
For sure.
But the beauty of it, and people don't think about it, but it's something which I found extremely nice and interesting of the en primeur system. And we see it when we have visitors coming to the winery, and I show the barrels in the cellar, and I tell them, well, you know, it's totally sold.
Yeah.
And they say, how come? It's there?
It's still there.
It's still there, there's no bottle. I tell them it's totally sold. And sometimes it has been already sold 3 times.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of fascinating, the trust that is in the system.
For sure.
To be able to virtually sell this liquid that is not yet in bottle, but people trust it so much that they go for it. Very interesting to see that it exists, it works, it was built. You know, you come out from another region, you tell them, well, you know, this is the liquid in the barrel, and pay me now and get it in 2 years. They will look at you and say, well, okay, let's wait that the bottle, that we see what's in the bottle when it's totally bottled. And the trust that was built, we can do it.
For sure.
And that's very nice.
Because I like the traditional, so I like the en primeur idea. But I also understand, just to be very fair, I understand what people talk about. Sometimes it's a lot of money, especially nowadays, just to give the money and wait for 2 years. I understand it can be hard, but yeah, I'm both sides, you know. But we shall see.
Yeah, exactly.
But I heard from some people in the wine world that wines all over the world now trade their wines through Place de Bordeaux.
Yes, what I was going to share with you is that there is a request for many non-Bordeaux wineries to be traded on the Bordeaux market.
Yeah, and there's some big names.
Big names from Champagne, from Italy, from Spain, so it's interesting. Right or wrong, this is something very new. Let's say where it goes.
For sure.
But the request is there.
Do you think there will be one of your kids that will follow your footsteps?
I hope so. Out of 4, I hope so. I have 3 boys, 1 girl. I have no idea if it's the girl or one of the 3 boys. I'm not worried in the sense that they all like drinking and eating.
Okay.
Food and wine being something that run in our blood, I'm not worried. You know, and I honestly I consider that if you want to do good wine, you have to, number one, appreciate what is a good wine. So on that side, I'm not right. After, who's the one who's going to take over there? The youngest is 16, the oldest is 22. They're still studying.
Oh yeah, they've time. And you can always adopt me.
You're very welcome anyway to come anytime and come and drink here.
So the world of wine, as a winemaker or head of a chateau, can be very busy. You have not a 9-to-5 job. You have many dinners, lunches, meetings after hours, also during the weekend. You travel a lot for business, I can imagine. But if you have some downtime, and if you have some time for yourself, what do you do? Do you have some hobbies? Do you love traveling, spending time with your family?
No, so I'm very happy here, honestly. And yeah, I have a couple of vintage cars that I like to take care. So there is a little garage with two old vintage cars which I love to take care. Go on trips with my wife and friends who share the same passion. So at least we can do it once or twice a year.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so that's the thing. My kids love cooking, so when they're here, when we're in Siran all together, well, it's kind of a festival. We opened the last Bocuse, a Bocuse book of cooking or whatever, and they go for it. And so yeah, it's more family life, going around, food and wine and things like that.
Really?
Yeah, as you say, we travel a lot for the business.
I think we covered everything, unless you have something to say. I know, of course, that everyone is welcome at the chateau, especially after the crisis. I think everything is settling a little bit in France as well.
2019, last normal year that we had, pre-COVID, we had 8,000 visitors at the winery. We went down because of COVID to below 2,000. So we're very happy to see the figures go up again.
Yeah, for sure. People don't realize how much chateaus are getting motivated if people stop by.
Yeah.
Because people are stopping by and they're really loving the product, and that gives the winemakers an extra boost to perform. Yeah.
And this personal relation with the customer is something very important for us, especially as we are sold through the negos, and we not always see the final customer when we have them in the winery.
And I think if they visit, I think it's one of the few opportunities to taste or to buy in 2018.
Yeah. Very difficult. It's more and more. You still find some a little.
Some, but in Belgium, woo,
impossible.
I had some. My standard buys every year 6, but I was like, okay, I'm going to buy some extra just in case.
Yeah, US market kind of washed out all the remaining stock that was in the negotiation in December and January.
It's crazy, which is a good thing.
Good thing. Good thing, we are good value, customers are happy, distributors are happy, and for the brand, well, we're very happy to see where it goes.
For sure. So, thank you so much for your time.
Yannick, it was a pleasure.
No problem. And then, if you have any questions for the chateau or for Edouard, we will leave all the information down below. You can always contact them to book a visit or to have a tasting or whatever. And thank you so much and see you on the next one.
My pleasure. Thank you for coming.